Anything is possible, even drawing a circle. Get your goodies, get your snacks, and even a pen and a paper. All right, this is a tutorial. Let's start the video. So you said you can't even draw a circle if your life depends on it. That is pretty serious, all right? Now, I've heard from many people when they watch me draw or sketch, oh my God, I wish I could do that too. I can't even draw a circle. No, I'm not shaming y'all, and I'm definitely not judging. But drawing a circle, as simple as it is also something that can be quite complex if, only if, you are willing to see how easy it is, what a circle basically is, and all the possibilities that a circle brings. I know it sounds like science, but it kind of is, because when you are able to look at a reference picture, or you have an image in your head, or anything else that you want to do, and you want to draw that, you are basically looking at shapes, different spaces, and that is what you're putting on paper. It's really that simple. So in this particular video, I'm going to do something that is very unconventional. I'm going to teach you something. This is going to be a tutorial about a circle. You see, I started to think about this particular thing. If I would go back into a time machine, right? I would step into the time machine. I will go back to the point where I started to draw first. The first thing that you learn in elementary school is, of course, your shapes, squares, triangles. And from that, you learn to recognize them, right? In different objects that we're using from day to day. My face has a circle. Your face has a circle. My eye has a circle. Signs that we see on the street have a circle. They are everywhere. And yet there are people who say, I cannot draw a circle. All right. I'm going to be the teacher today and show you how you can draw a perfect circle. You have to start out with an imperfect circle. You got to F up a little bit. For today, no erasers. Erasers are illegal. The purpose of you not using an eraser is to allow yourself to only focus on what is necessary. That is your mind, your hand, your eyes, and your concentration. That's all you need, baby. All right? That's all you need. Let's start. Okay, so we're sitting here at the table, and like I already said, it's not that you cannot draw the perfect circle. I actually want you to eliminate the word perfect. Just eliminate the whole word. That is not what is important right now. We're going to focus on how you can draw a circle as close to perfection. All right? Consistency, repeat, rinse, rinse, and repeat. Those are very important. So for starting this exercise, series of exercises, we need, of course, paper. This is not my sketchbook. This is just, your ordinary printing paper. This is just ordinary printing paper. This is a pencil. If you have color pencils, use color pencils. If you want to do it with a graphite pencil, you do it with a graphite pencil. I happen to take the charcoal pencil that's here on my table. So that is not an absolute must. All right. Work with what you got to get what you want. Okay. So when it comes to circles, a lot of people trip over the fact that it needs to be perfect, like I already said. So people start drawing and it's like all over the place. They cannot get to what it is that they want. They put too much pressure on the paper. They circle around it. They're basically really too much focus on how it needs to look instead of just creating the object, which is a circle. Now, as you can see, I've drawn a couple of circles. I started out with a couple over here, same thing, right? I drew a couple of circles and they're all not the perfect shape. So people are like, well, I cannot draw a circle. I can't do it. It's not completely true. What I want you to focus on is the following. I don't want you to be in a headspace where you are like, it needs to be perfect. Where I want you to focus on, if it's really hard for you to create a circular shape, to do it in steps. So that means 1, 2. You cannot really see it, but that's not the point. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. And you can see, as I continue, my circular movement, the shape of it, is becoming better and better. Some of them are not so circular, like this one. Look, it has a straight line here, so that's not a circular movement. But this one, beautiful, great movement. This one, not so good. But this one also, not so good. This one, I like. This one I like as well. This one I like as well. This one I like as well. So I just want you to chop it up. 1, 2. Again, don't focus on how it needs to look. I want you to be focused on what your movement is. And the more you start to do it, the more comfortable you get to it. Going all the way to the bottom. So what can you learn from this? Which I find very important, of course. What you learn is that 1, study what it is that you see. Look for the circles that are pretty close to what it is that you find acceptable. And the ones that you don't find so acceptable, just question yourself. Why is this not circular, right? It's not so circular. And if I look at it, for instance, let me take a different color of pencil. Let me take a red pencil. If I'm looking at it, I see this weird, strange line, but I also see that the lines are not connecting. No connection of the lines. If I'm looking at this one, for instance, which I don't consider to be a perfect line, I see here a bulge. I see here another bulge. I see here another bulge. Here also another bulge, a bulge. And here, this one is pretty good. So that's one good. You see another bulge. Here, another bulge. So that tells me that I tend to move downward with my pencil. I do this. And then when I go to the other side, I end here. So for me, it is important that when I create circular shapes, that I connect the lines. And that's why I said, try to do it in 2 steps. 1, 2, wax on, wax off. Now, the moment that you get in a comfortable space where you do the wax on, wax off movement, right? 1 to the left, 1 to the right, or 1 to the right, 1 to the left, if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, you want to gradually go to a place where you make 1 movement. 1 movement. See what I'm doing? And important in this is that you are pretty comfortable in the way that you hold your pencil. You don't have to hold it like this to make a circular movement. It's not necessary. You don't have to hold your pencil like this. You could do it. For me, it's still possible. And why for me it is possible to still make pretty good circular movements is because my brain and my motor functioning of my hands, I already used to this. I'm used to it. But if you're not used to this, if you're not consistently practicing things like this, then it's going to be hard for you to do it. I could even draw it like this. And just holding my pen my pencil away from me. I can use it upwards, but I can also just use it the way that I like to use it. And it is resting in my hand here. Keyword, resting. You don't have to do this. You don't have to press on your pencil. You don't have to do all of this. This is not necessary. And even if I'm doing it, I'm still able to create some good circles, but to be quite honest with you, I really don't like it. I like to be, just chill. One movement. And you can go from right to left. I even want to try it downwards and upwards. Right? So try not to put too much pressure, and also try not to do this. Yeah. I like to do this. I know I'm telling on myself, but I absolutely love doing this. Why? It's a bad habit. It is a bad habit. But when I do this, I tend to start really light. And then if I'm comfortable, I come to the circle that I want to see. But yeah, I tend to do this. It's not really a good habit, but hey. So when it comes to circles, I want you to get confident to make one circular movement. And again, consistency. Do it consistently. All right? The next phase of where I explain that you pretty much can see a circle in any particular shape. And you can create a shape in a circle. The reason why I'm saying this is because when you look around you in real life, we see circular objects everywhere. All right? Everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. And the thing about people who are older, especially if you start drawing an illustrator at an older age, is that your brain is not as malleable as those who are a little bit younger. Because younger people, especially people, the little kids in their teenage years or even younger than that, they are very used to having a huge imagination. They run around, they see balls and they see circular signs. They work with Lego, they work with different shapes. For them, it's really easy to recognize how a circular object looks like and to also see other objects in those circular movements, in those circular objects. When you get older, you get a little bit rigid. You get a little bit grown, for lack of a better description. And what I actually mean by that is you're kind of stuck in the ways that you look at objects. You just see an object and you say, well, that is, for instance, a football. But a football has a circular shape. It has dimension. There are different patches on it, and those patches also have a shape. It has contrast. It has many different things, and all of those things you can describe as shapes. It's no different as someone who is painting. It's no different as someone who is sketching, illustrating. It's no different than what animators are doing. Shapes are to be found each and every single place. If you really want to make something really simplistic, then you can go all the way down to a shape. For instance, so let's just start with creating shapes in shapes and shapes out of shapes. So if I have my circular object here, right? This is a circular object. And in that circular object, the easiest thing, I can make another circular object. Let me color it in. There you go. I can make another circle. And let me just, for simplicity, use a different, for the contrast, use a different one. I can see a rectangular in this. See that? I can see a rectangular. I can make a circle. I can see a square. I can make a circle. I can use it. I can make a star out of it. Let's see. So that means something like this. Well, that's not a perfect star, but y'all get the gist of what it is that I'm creating. You can see a cross in there. The point of what I'm trying to show you is that your circle can be perfected with something that can be placed in it, right? If this is a circle and the circle is not really perfect, I cannot place any object into it. But a perfect circle, quote unquote, perfect circle, can give space to something else, to another object. This is a great exercise for you as well to train your shapes. If I have a circle, can I place something else in it in a perfect way? There you go. I can. The other way around also stands. So for instance, I have this shape. I can place a circle in that, right? I have a square and I can place a circle in that as well. I have a circle and I can place a circle in that. I have a cross. I can place a circle on it, but also around it. Okay? So this is a very fun exercise to see that your circle is not just a circle. It can house another object into it, but it can also be the housing of an object. Very fun to do, and also a great exercise to create that circular movement around it. If that circular movement is close to perfect, I can place something in it that is perfect as well, like a perfect square, a perfect triangle, a perfect circle. And these are not that perfect, but it's the principle, as you can see. So that's what you can do. Like I already said, you basically can place everything in the most simplistic form that it has, in a simplistic form that it has, in the most simplistic form that it can take on. To give an example, an apple. I can be sitting here and I want to draw an apple, right? And I'm like, oh man, I need to draw an apple. Here we go. Apple. It's the bottom side of it. It has a stem. Most of them have a leaf. And there you got it, an apple. But the apple can be reduced to a plain circle. But a plain circle can also be placed into that apple that we just created, right? Here, an apple. It's the goal in this. Here is to show you that all everyday conventional objects that we see have a shape. And you can do this with an apple, you can do this with a face, you can do this with an eye, you can do this with a mouth, you can do this with a cheek, you can do this with other circular objects that we see on people or on things. Here I used an apple as an example. It's not that hard, right? It looks very easy. So how do we come from this to this and even make it more complex? A couple of exercises of making that movement. You can chop it in two, wax on, wax off. We have one circular movement. I told you that a circle is really not that hard. If you look at a circle, it's something that's so perfect. You can place another object into it, or you can place the circle into an object. there are daily things in our life that we can see the circular object into, or we can reduce it to a circular object. So when it comes to drawing, it's the same thing. It's really easy. Let's make a circle. And now we're going to play with dimension by using contrast, light and dark, right? Shading. Now this is your flat 2D circle, meaning if I want to bring dimension into it, and this is 2D, most people are like, well, I don't know how to do it. They start to draw something into it, trying to make dimension. And what you're actually doing is just making this really stark contrast between light and dark. To play with dimension when it comes to a circle, you need to make it 3D, right? So we create another circle. All right, another circle. And to make something 3D means that you need to use your eyes so that you can look at the image. And what you want to look at is what shapes form the light, what shapes form the dark, and where are they to be found. To give a really simple example, if here is the light, and this is a 3D object, that means if I make an imaginary line, this doesn't get the dimension. This